So today I'll be talking about something very, very important. I'll be answering a very important question that I usually get as a comment or as a question on my YouTube page. So most of the times people usually ask, how do I go about learning data analysis? Like they want to start learning data analysis and they don't know which vehicle to use. When I say vehicle, I mean what path to follow. Like if they should make use of getting a degree that's using the schooling system, or if they should use the bootcamp system, or if they should use the one I call the personal study roadmap. All right. So today I'll be answering that very important question because there's one thing to decide that you want to become a data analyst, and there's another thing to know the pathway, the roadmap to follow to achieving that your goal. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time you're coming across this YouTube page, my name is Favor. You can call me Faye, and this is the Medi Data Perspective channel. So what we do in this space is I teach you or I guide you through the data analytics career path and how to analyze healthcare data. Yes, I'm a healthcare data analyst. So if you're interested in learning how to analyze healthcare data, or even if you're interested in learning how to become a data analyst or how to analyze data in general, then this is your go-to YouTube page. So you can go through the YouTube page, you can check our playlist, and you'll see various topics we've analyzed, and you can also see various topics we've discussed about. All right. So, and another thing that is very, very special about this page is you can always leave your comments, your questions, and bet me I'm going to answer your question thoroughly. And when necessary, I would also create a video to explain further or for other person to benefit from it, just like what I'm doing in this particular video. So enough of the chit chat, guys. So let's just dive into what we have for today. So, like I was saying earlier, what we'll be talking about is what roadmap or what road to follow to become a data analyst. And this is a very, very essential topic because most of the times when we decide we want to become a data analyst, the next question is, how am I going to learn how to become a data analyst? Should I get a degree in the university? Should I take a online degree course? Should I attend a boot camp? Like, what am I going to do? So I'll be dissecting this in using three vehicles or using three roads. Okay, so you can either take a bus, you can either use the car, you can either use the bicycle. The most important thing is achieving your goal, right? So let's put our eyes. The prize here is becoming a data analyst. So, but another thing is the road you are going to follow is going to app as well, because if you are using a flight, a plane, you're going to get there faster, right? And if you are using a bicycle, you're going to get there, but it's going to be more strenuous on you. Just this is just like hypothetically. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to say is you deciding the road you want to follow depends solely on you. That's one very, very important part of the decision. What type of person are you? Are you the type of person that like learning alone? Are you a solo learner, or are you the kind of person that learn faster when you are in midst of people? Are you a group reader? Do you prefer learning with people, or do you prefer learning alone? Are you getting? So once you can identify that, that helps you a lot with the decision process. Another thing you want to do is to ask yourself this question: oh, have you gotten a degree already? Are you somebody that you already done with your higher institution, like you've already gotten a degree? It can be in any field, it can be in nursing, it can be in accounting, it can be in any field of your choice. Have you already gotten a first degree already? So if you've gotten a first degree, that's something you should take note of as well. Then if you've not gotten a first degree, let's say you are just done with your the secondary level of education, and you want to go into your higher institution level of education, and you're considering what career path I should take. Is data analytics a viable career path for me to go to a big university or a college to study? Then that's another aspect you should take note of. Okay, so now let's talk about this elaborately. Like I got this message from somebody, and the person was like, I should, help him, tell him what path to follow, and I just, try to like explain it better for the person to understand. One thing with going through the college part, going through the higher institution part, going through the university aspect is that it gives you that, okay, it gives you that avenue, that room to learn in a broad environment. You have classmates you can interact with, you have physical lecturers you're interacting with, people you can ask questions with, people you can grow together with, people you can, share your problem with. That's one very important thing. And you cannot take the community, you cannot take that having that room for interaction with other people when learning away from becoming a data analyst or learning data science, because learning is, especially when you're learning something that it's not in your field, is a very very tedious process. Because I could remember in my learning phase when I would go through some settings phase, like when I would try to decode a safety bug and I don't technically know what to do. Like I know most of the times I'll be downcast, I will go on YouTube, I will do research, I will check for this. And but if I had a community while I was learning, that would have been much more easier. I could have had a lecturer I could go up to and say, oh, I've been trying to work on this and it's giving me issue. What should I do? Or I could have had a roommate or a classmate I could talk to. Are you getting my point? But since I was doing it all alone, I had to go through that process by myself, and I bet you it's not a very, very good situation to be in, especially if you are somebody like me that when you are in a kind of situation and you've not figured out to resolve that situation, you can't get your mind off it. Like I can literally be sleeping and I will still be thinking about that code I've not yet debugged. You know that how frustrating that could be. So you see, that's one advantage of learning in a university environment. So you have a school syllabus already that you would have to, complete, you would have to meet up with. The process for you to become a data analyst has already been broken down into that syllabus. So you don't have to do that stress of you finding out what to learn and when to learn. The school has already done that for you. You have physical teachers that are coming to teach you that are well experienced in that field, right? Then you also have the opportunity to interact with classmates, to interact with lecturers, to get people that are above you in that field, your questions to whenever you are in a situation where you are finding it difficult. Okay, so I hope you are getting my point. All right. Now we'll be talking about the disadvantage with schooling system. I won't really call it disadvantage. It's just that with the schooling system, you still have to do a whole lot of work yourself, right? Because one thing about data analysis career or data analyst career is that your degree or your certificate does not really do much for you. Okay, so the fact that you became a data analyst or you graduated from a university or a top university or you completed a boot camp certificate from a very very big boot camp is not really going to do much for you. I hope you are getting, like, in this field, what they want to see is what you can do. Okay, so if I want to become a nurse, then I can say, oh, I finished from so school, and it might, give me an edge over other people, right? I can go for an interview, they might ask me questions, and they'll see my school certificate I graduated from, and it might give me an edge. But when it comes to data analysis, they want to see what you've done, right? What project have you worked on? What portfolio have you been able to curate for yourself? So that's what is going to give you an edge. So even if two people are in the same room and one graduated from a top university and this other person did a self-study, she learned from YouTube, she learned by herself, and along the way she has been able to work on various projects, she has been able to create a portfolio for herself, she's going to get more edge more than this person that just have a degree to show for it. So are you getting my point? So that's what I'm trying to say. So your degree or your certificate does not really do much for you as a data analyst, right? What projects you've worked on, what can you offer, what can you bring to the table? That's the most important aspect of data analysis. So even when you are going through the school system, you are still going to put in the work yourself. You're not just going to rely solely on what your teacher is teaching you. You're not going to rely solely on what your school syllabus is. You're still going to do research for yourself. You're still going to go on YouTube. You're still going to, after being taught on school, you're still going to go back on YouTube. You do research on what you've been taught. You want to get deeper knowledge more than what your lecturer or your professor in school can offer you. You're still going to create, work on projects on yourself and create your portfolio for yourself. So your degree now is just like an additional advantage to what you are doing for yourself. Like data analysis is your own personal work. Yes, it's just your own personal work. You'll be the one to do most of the work. That's what I tell most people that come to me. You are going to be the one to do most of the work. You're going to get your hands dirty. Nobody is going to just come to the classroom and teach you. No, 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 no. You might, because you might think you know these things, but once you start working on projects, you realize that, oh, I don't really know as much as I think I know. Okay, so you working on projects is what is going to, build your knowledge and your experience. This same thing applies to you deciding you want to use the bootcamp method. So for bootcamp method, it can be a physical bootcamp, it can be an online bootcamp. You can use data camp, you can use some other platform as well. I usually refer to data camp because that was what I used, and I don't really know more anymore. Okay, you have code camp as well. Okay, so you can use any one of your choice. These are the popular ones that easily come to my head, and that's why I'm making mention of them. There are other good um, boot camps that you can use, and you can use physical or online, just like what I have said earlier. So the thing with boot camp is you are being taught data analysis within a certain period of months. So for example, for physical boot camp, you can see how to become a data analyst in 3 months, and in those 3 months you might be having classes like, let's say, twice in a week or 3 times in a week for 2 hours. So I bet you are not going to learn data analysis in thorough in 3 months for 3 times in a week, 3 hours or 2 hours or 30 minutes. No, you're not going to do that. But what it's going to do for you is you're going to learn the basic. It's going to give you a foundation for you to start building on. And this is very, very important. So you cannot even say bootcamp is useless. No, it gives you that foundation for you to now build your career on. So in that 3 months you are learning, in that 6 months you are learning, in that space of 2 weeks you are learning, it gives you the ability to learn the basics, all right? So after learning the basics now, and when learning the basics, another thing it gives you a mentorship, interaction with whoever is teaching you. It gives you the ability to ask questions. Oh, you've been learning this. At the end of the day, they give you assignments. You have questions you can ask. All right. You still have if it's a physical boot camp, then you have the opportunity to interact with other people you are learning with as well. But if it's an online boot camp like data camp, it gives you the ability to learn in your own space. Okay, so you can apply for data camp. Probably it can be a 1 year subscription. I don't know any amount of subscription you want to do, and within that period of 1 year, you can decide to split your workload. So imagine if you are working or if you are a student, you can decide to say, okay, you are not in that you're not cramping everything in 1 week. You're not doing a 1 week learning or a 2 month learning or a 3 month learning. Now you now have the ability to space your learning progress by yourself. You now have the ability to, one after learning, you can go back to what you've learned, revise on what you learned, take notes, jot, do exercises, because at the end of every teaching, they usually give you exercises, ask you what to do. You can even decide to involve yourself in little competitions they do on data camp, project competitions where you work on project just to improve your capacity. Okay, so you can see the difference. All right. But another thing with learning with bootcamp, just like I said, when you want to use the university method, is you are still going to do most of the work yourself. All right. After you've learned, you're still going to go back to do research. For example, when I was learning on data camp, I could remember then obviously that it was, in fact, I started my learning process with learning Python programming language, and that was a very new experience for me. That was the first time I was going into anything like programming or data analysis and all that. So I could remember then that as I was learning using data camp, I was also going to YouTube to watch Corey Shaffer. I don't know if you guys know about Corey Shaffer, but Corey Shaffer is one of the biggest YouTuber when it comes to teaching Python programming language, and I would recommend him. I used him, and he's actually one of the best. Okay, so I remember then that after learning on data camp, whatever I learned on data camp for that day, after jotting, taking notes, doing exercise, later in the evening, I will go to Corey Shaffer's page and I will watch video on that same topic, okay, to get a better understanding. And I would say watching video from Corey Shaffer's page really helps me in understanding Python programming language, in working on projects, in doing data analysis, exploratory data analysis, and all that. Okay, so you can see that even with learning on data camp or whatever on bootcamp you want to use, you are still going to do the main work yourself. You are still going to get your hands dirty. You cannot just say, "Oh, I've gotten the data camp certificate. Oh, have done several courses on data camp," and you're just going to rest. There are still a lot for you to learn, a whole lot for you to learn. Like there's sometimes when you're on YouTube and you see some things be done, and you're like, "Wow, can this thing actually do this?" Like, "Wow, this is the first time I'm seeing this." So there are a whole lot for you to learn. So if you want to become very good in that data analytical space, whatever, in your data science field or any other field, you still have to get your hands dirty. Okay, that's one. So you can see for degree, for bootcamp, and the next phase is learning yourself. So, like I've said earlier, you mostly have to do the job yourself, and that is technically like learning yourself. Okay, so there are some people that will decide to say, "Oh, I can't afford to use the university route, or I've already gotten a degree in the university. I don't have that money to pay again for a using the university route, or for a boot camp, I can't afford to pay for a boot camp." Yeah, or there are some people that might even say, "I prefer learning on my own." Yeah, there are some people that just prefer to learn on their own. They prefer to get knowledge, to find knowledge by themselves. If you fall in that category, yes, then this is your own aspect or your own field. So if you're that kind of person, then I would encourage you to go to through the YouTube process. Okay, you can use ChatGPT, create a course outline for yourself. You can give yourself a target. Oh, I want to learn how to use Tableau in 3 months, in 6 months. Okay, tell ChatGPT to create a course outline for you in 6 months or in 3 months, and tell it, okay, in a week I'll be having 2 hours or 3 hours, and I'll be studying for 3 days or 4 days. Like, just give it a breakdown, and it's going to, generate a course outline based on your own specification. All right. And you can follow that outline, and you can see it's going to even recommend websites for you to make use of, YouTube video for you to see, how it can just regenerate those topics you need to study. And when you pick that topic, for example, you can say dynamic filtering is what you have to study today. You go to YouTube, you watch videos about dynamic filtering. You not just watching video, because there's one thing to watch video, there's another thing to work on projects. So ensure that when you are watching videos, you are also trying to become active, you're trying to involve yourself. Take a data set, work on it as well, follow the person's guide, because most of the times you might think, "Oh, I thoroughly understand what this person is saying. Yes, I can do this, I can do that." And another day when they give you a data set and say, "Okay, come on, go ahead and do this thing," you find out that you can't do it. Okay, so there's one thing to watch. When you're watching it, you might think it's very simple. There's another thing to do. Okay, so make sure you pick a data set, work on that data set as possible as you can. You would encounter challenges, you try and figure out that challenges, and in that process, when you are working and you're doing, you see that you start getting better or becoming better. And with that, you also start working on projects and you start creating your own portfolio. So you see that using your own learning through your own personal space, using the YouTube space, can be faster because you're challenging yourself, you're turning up for yourself each day. Nobody is forcing you to go to class, nobody is forcing you to do assignments, nobody is asking you to turn up. You are going to decide by yourself that you want to turn up for yourself because you have a goal that you want to achieve. All right, you are going to go to YouTube, you are going to find out what you want, you are going to check online, you are going to browse, you are going to do the research. And because you are doing this, you are gathering enough information by yourself, for yourself. Nobody is doing the work for you, all right? And with this now, you can now start creating portfolio project on what you've done. You can start creating your project, posting it online. So it can even be much more faster than somebody that went through the university route. Somebody that might go through the university route might have 2 to 3 to 4 years to study or complete this course code. But you are doing it in your own space. It's going to be difficult. The difference is you usually doing it your own self. You using the YouTube is going to be difficult because you're going to encounter situations where you don't know what to do, and now you are the one, you are your self tutor, you are both your tutor and the learner. You don't have anybody to go to and say, oh, I'm having issues, how do I go about this? So you're going to encounter the problem yourself, and you're now still going to figure out how to solve it yourself. Okay, so it's going to be it's very strenuous, it's tedious, it's difficult, but it is worth it. That's something, it is worth it. So there's difference between when somebody helps you to solve your problem and when you figure out how to solve your problem yourself. Okay, so it's definitely worth it. So these are the three routes you can take. You can either use the university method, we've talked about it. Think about it. Do you have a degree already? If you don't have a degree, then go through the university routes. And another thing, money. You have the money to pay for it, yes, because it's not free, right? You're going to pay school fees, so you go through that route. It's a very good route. It gives you a foundation for you to build on. Okay, another route is the bootcamp route. If you have a degree already, you can ask yourself, oh, I have a degree already, but I think I don't like studying by myself, or this is a new route and I need somebody to guide me. Then go through the bootcamp route to give you a platform where you can build your foundation on. Then you can now go ahead to start building from there, to start working on your own personal projects, finding information from yourself, gathering resources for yourself. Or you can go through the self-learning route where you can say, oh, I prefer learning by myself. I already have a degree, but I want to become a data analyst and I prefer learning by myself. Why don't I just, go create a course outline for myself and start learning? So you can see we've talked about the advantages for each of these routes. So it's not left for you to decide which route suits better with you. Okay, which route is going to be the best for you? You're going to look at your finances, you're going to look at your personality, you are going to look at your ability to learn by yourself. So these are the things you're going to consider, and you're not going to decide which of these routes to take. And also, when you want to decide on a boot camp to take, you are going to do your research yourself. Which of these boot camp is going to, answer my needs, are going to fit my needs. Okay, so you don't just pick any boot camp and start and using, and by the end of the day, you find out that you've not even learned anything at all. So you're going to do your research and you make sure that you are using a very good recommended boot camp as well. All right, so this brings me to the end of this video. I hope that you were able to learn something very important from this video. So if you did that, please drop a comment on this video and say, yeah, I learned something from you. And also, if you have any questions to ask, please do make sure you drop your questions, your comments on the comment section. Like I said earlier, I go through all the comments and questions and I make sure I answer each and every one of you. All right, with that being said, bye for now and see you in my next video.